Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third masterclass of the National Concert Hall's International Master Course. Today, I'm delighted to present my dear friend and much esteemed colleague, Finghin Collins. Brief bio of Finghin. Finghin is one of Ireland's most successful musicians. His international career was launched by winning first prize at the Clara Askill International Piano Competition in Switzerland in 1999. He has performed in recital and with major orchestras throughout Europe, the United States, the Far East and Australia. In October 2017, the National University of Ireland conferred on him an honorary degree of Doctor of Music. Finghin has recorded numerous award-winning CDs for Swiss label Clavis over the past 2 decades, including works by Schumann, Stanford, Chopin and Mozart. Finghin has been Artistic Director of Music for Galway since 2013 and is also founding Artistic Director of the New Ross Piano Festival and, together with myself, of the International Master Course at the National Concert Hall of Ireland. I'd like to mention that this masterclass will take approximately 2 hours and it will immediately be followed by a Q&A with Finghin. And for those of you watching online, feel free to submit questions for Finghin at any time via the YouTube live chat. And bestowed on me is the pleasure of introducing today's 3 fine young pianists. Stan O'Byrne will be performing for us a piece by Frédéric Chopin, the Ballade No. 2, Opus 38. Stan is 16 years old and is currently studying with Dr. Liesl Livingston and Dr. Archie Chen at the Piano Academy of Ireland. He is the recipient of numerous first prizes at many different national and international competitions and was the recipient of the RIAM High Achievers Award 5 years running. As well as this, he has been documented on international film series Enfant Prodige, as well as in many different national platforms. He is also currently a participant of the prestigious William Finley program as part of the DIPC. Our second piano participant is David Vesey. David is a 21-year-old pianist from Abbeyleix, County Laois, currently studying on the BMOS at the CIT Cork School of Music with Santa Ignace and Michael McHale. David is entering his final year of the degree and has a strong passion for traditional Irish music as well as classical music, and he will be performing Liszt's Spanish Rhapsody today. Our third piano participant is Joe O'Grady. Joe is 14 years old. He studies piano with John O'Connor and Hugh Tinney, and also plays the violin. He has won a number of first prizes at the Irish national competition ESB Feshkiol. At age of 9, he made his concerto debut in Carnegie Hall with New York Concerti Sinfonietta and in Trinity College Dublin with the RIAM Chamber Orchestra. He has also given a number of solo recitals since, and he will be performing Chopin's Ballade No. 1, Opus 23 today. I'm really looking forward to listening in. Finghin, enjoy. Have a lot of fun at this masterclass. I'm aware that a lot of people are watching, and so am I. Enjoy. Thank you, Finghin. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Gwendolyn, for that lovely introduction, and it's great to be here. And I'm looking forward to hearing our 3 pianists. We have quite a lot of Chopin. As luck would have it, we're going to hear 2 Chopin ballades, which will be wonderful. And I think now we're going to start with Stan, who's going to play the second of Chopin's 4 ballades. So good morning to Stan, and welcome to our class, and take it away with Chopin. Thank you very much. Bravo, well done. Great performance.
Thanks.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think you really captured the mood in many ways, and it's very. There was a great internal calm to the first section and the calm sections, and then when it erupts into the confoco, it was really well engineered and very contrasting and very convincing. So I really felt that you had a real sense of the scope of this piece and of the scale of it and of the mood. Um, so yeah, I found it very convincing. Well done, really well done. Um, is this a piece you've been playing a long time, or is it?
Um, I've kind of I've kind of been playing it on and off for about 8 9 months. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it feels like you've really. I can feel that you really love this music, which is so important. Um, and technically, it's a difficult piece. You know, it's very demanding. I've played this piece, and to be able to sort of jump from one extreme of mood to the other is a big challenge. And you're mostly doing that really well. So yeah, well done. I think we can work on some details, but the overall
Thanks.
shape is excellent.
Thanks.
Um, one of the things that I find fascinating is what key do we begin the piece
F
in,
major,
and what key do we end in?
A minor.
Yeah, so it's one of those Chopin pieces that starts in one key and ends in
Yeah.
another. And I think we can be really aware of that we start in one landscape, F major, where we have a lot of hope and expectation, and it seems to be very calm. But it's not at all. What's the real story is this,
Yeah.
this
And also in
first.
like the part on the first page where it goes to A minor briefly, that's kind of
Yeah,
a bit of foreshadowing as well.
absolutely. And I think that can be, that was
I
something I
could
was
try
going to
and
say, that
make that
you
more
can make that
foreshadowing.
more. You can just show that absolute foreshadowing there of the A minor, that there is darkness to come even in this early section. And then all hell breaks loose in the agitato in the end, where I think it could possibly be just let go a bit more and not worry too much
Yeah.
don't make we shouldn't be, as an audience, we shouldn't be too concerned that you are finding it difficult. It just needs to let go a bit more. It's often the case that we, when it gets really difficult, we kind of let go of the story a bit and we just sort of think notes and technique. But we need to always make sure that our that we keep our focus on the story and what's happening, and the technique just feeds into that. So it's a matter of prioritizing in our minds and being so prepared technically that we can keep with the story, keep with the mood, keep with the ferocity of that ending without making everybody aware that, oh, this is actually quite difficult, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So let's start again at the beginning. And what's really interesting about this first page, I think, is these long phrase lines that he writes, and so just you imagine that you're actually going to that it's a singer who's going to sing this incredibly infinitely long line without taking your breath. And the great thing about the piano is that we can spin these lines. We don't have to stop for breath in the same way that singers do, or violinists can play with infinite long bows. So let's really try to go for as long lines as possible. And about, in my edition, about four lines down, you have a pianissimo. You have that?
Yeah.
And the start is sotto voce.
Yeah.
So how do they compare?
Well, I usually try change the color for the pianissimo section by I just put down una corda.
Yeah. So the sotto voce is not. I would suggest that the sotto voce is not quite pianissimo. It's just more like a color. It could be just within piano. It doesn't need to be pianissimo. So that really we get a really noticeable difference when the pianissimo comes in. But what I do notice is that when the tempo one comes back, when this material comes back, he marks it pianissimo. So we can make that difference.
Yeah. And
Have you got
also
that in your edition?
in my edition, I've got the national edition, and
Yeah.
on the first page, like the left hand has like a phrase that lasts over half the page, but then the right hand is like split into like different phrases. So like, should I be going by the left hand phrase marks and then kind of like divide the right hand up the
Well,
side a bit.
in my edition, there were slightly fewer. Yeah, there were slightly more phrases in the right hand, but I think we can respect that.
Yeah.
And do that.
Yeah.
So let's just start again and go and see if you can bring us into a really really special place and think long lines.
Yeah.
And maybe just for the first for these first two lines, you could try not to have any hesitations or slight stops. La da ya da da ya. It's maybe just keep it really simple. Da dee da da dee da 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 da. So there's no. It's not too sort of, I don't know, precious or romantic yet. So it almost just kind of enters into our consciousnesses and into our lives, just very simply and very homogeneously and very. So it's almost flat. Just try that. With very few nuances. Good. Yeah. So the second long phrase can be a little bit more shaped then. So the first phrase can be almost neutral, and then the second phrase can be a little bit more shaped. Ya da da ya da da. More shapes, and then we have this A minor, which is different again. So it's like we're constructing the story. Want to just go from the third phrase from the A minor? Okay, good. Just two things about this section. Two more things. The rhythm always now on Zoom it's hard to tell because the rhythm sometimes gets a bit, the it gets pulled and things slow down and they get faster. But it's really important that the rhythm is really really regular. Dum 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 dee. That it becomes like our heartbeat. And sometimes it just sounded a little bit every now and again a bit turbulent. So just always 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 with almost a simplicity to the regularity of it. And then the other thing is never to bump out a note out of place, so that we don't after a long note that we don't go ba dum da dum. Sometimes there's a tiny little bumping coming out occasionally. So very smooth and everything very very linked. I think that A minor chord, which comes as a bit of a surprise, could be even more. That one could be more pointed. It's more unexpected. He almost breaks the phrase to bring that in. We're not expecting that, so just show that even more. This foreshadowing of the A minor, like we spoke about earlier. We expect it to finish, but it doesn't. So that can be more pointed. and unexpected.
Yeah.
Can we just go from somewhere before there? Yeah, without the upbeat. Just don't try to not to let the inner voice interrupt too much. So the G, so the upper line isn't too interrupted. I know we have a little hairpin, but not too much of a bump on the upbeat. Okay, very good. Just again on the rhythm. Sometimes you very even 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3. Sometimes you go. It's a tiny bit like that. But 1 2. So the quaver has a full quaver and it's very regular. Just one last time from there. Okay, done. Great. Wonderful. Just at the beginning of the presto, that's great. You know, we have the great challenge of this is that and some of our viewers might not know, is that in the first bar, you have a diminuendo in the right hand and a crescendo in the left. You have that in your edition?
My one is diminuendo for everything.
You don't have the crescendo in the left hand?
No, I think if the second time it comes around, I do.
Okay, because I have it in both. Your edition may be more modern than mine, but I think it's nice to have this left hand.
Yeah.
I would sustain that last note a bit more in the left hand. Da 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 yum. So it's more menacing. You tend to go ba da da da, and the last note is a bit too polite.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So every time that comes, and even when you have so go all the way to the end of the phrase da ya dum. So it has this commitment right to the end of the phrase, and don't give up. Da ya dum.
Yeah.
So don't be polite at the end of the phrase. And all of those should be very really, in a way, the left hand is the more interesting voice throughout a lot of this section.
Yeah.
Although we have all this wonderful stuff going on the right, but the left hand has sort of this the real stuff until we get to here, and then it's new and it's obviously more in the right hand with the growling in the left hand. Just maybe take it again from the presto. Yeah, maybe a bit more intensity, a little more intensity in those semiquavers. Not too easy, but each note da 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 da. Like you're finding your way back somehow. You need to find your way back to F major.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all very very good. I would just say that when we get to the G minor one, it needs to have a slightly different color to the A minor. The G minor should be maybe even darker and more earthly or something. Just just mark it differently so that we get that contrast between the two keys, which have very different characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't need to do it again. You can just go from somewhere around there. Yeah, that's great, Stan. That's great.
Thanks.
Just don't rush it. You have a nice rhythm going, and when the color changes, and when you have these, always not too quick. You have to love every note that you play, and then don't get suddenly turbulent or fast. Try to keep the more organic sense to the unfolding of the drama. So keep the tempo without pushing. You don't have to push here, and just enjoy all the different colors unfolding. And a particularly tender moment, I think, is this. When it goes into this, we reach up to that ninth in the left hand, the tenor line. So just really show us that in a very tender color, and then gradually follow the music as it unfolds and gets more dramatic.
Yeah.
I still feel, just going back to here. I don't feel that every note has a syllable, has a word. Diddle 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 dum. It's instead of diddle 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 dum, diddle 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 dum, and then the right hand takes over. It's a bit like that. They're two. It's very much gestural instead of singing every note. Da 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 da. Maybe just try that from the same place once more. Dan, Dan, just watch out there. The D flat. I think you. You play a D flat there. Or I think I heard a D natural there in the second half of the bar.
In this part.
And then, yeah, when the left hand has the D flat.
Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, that's a D flat. Yeah, but that's very good. You know, this section is all about slightly more exploratory, obviously, than the first page, which is all sort of your F major, A minor. But this is exploring, and it's got more tenderness, and it's so just enjoy the variety of keys that's coming through here. You know. And the sense of searching and the sense of storytelling, because you know, as you know, a ballade is linked to telling a story, whether it's like a kind of a poem or it's got literary association. So it's somebody telling a story, and it is whenever we have storytelling, we have a sort of a rapt audience who are dying to know what comes next. And this is one of the sections in the piece where the story is becoming, you know, going in unusual directions, I think, and we're following it. So just always keep the attention, always enjoy yourself and be aware of the different keys you're going into, and then in that way you'll bring the audience with you. Always remember that you're a guide to the audience. You're the narrator of the story, and you have to keep them focused so that they come with you on the journey. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go from maybe after the loud bit and follow that inner line very clearly.
Where would you suggest taking up the pedal for that part?
I would be doing a lot of fluttering to reduce the resonance. So I wouldn't just lift. I wouldn't do a clean break. And then I would change it on that. So we have clean sound on that bar.
Yeah.
Is that clear? It's hard to be clear over Zoom sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, I was trying to stop you there, but you didn't hear me. It's great. Let's go back a bit to the Presto con fuoco again. you know all these left hand, and then you have to try to make them more legato. If you can't join them physically, you've got to give the impression of them being more legato. So keep your hand closer to the keys, maybe.
Yeah.
Not. It's a bit too vertical and they're a bit too chopped up.
Yeah.
So they, there should be really, really legato lines. And what are you doing some legato fingering at all within those octaves, or are they all 1/5s?
I think I'm doing 5/4/5. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as you can. You should. And what about here? What fingering are you doing there?
5/5/4/5/4/5. Just basically 5s and 4s.
5s and 4s, yeah.
Okay.
Basically, it's got to sound like one line, da 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 da, very as an impression of being fully legato as you can. Just really be aware of that.
Yeah.
And this should be really singing, more horizontal lines and not too choppy. Okay.
Yeah.
Then when you get to the agitato, it's really great. Sometimes there's a little bit too much of a stop on top notes, maybe, but it's convincing. It's very exciting, and yeah, I think you just need to keep making your own of it, and as exciting as you can make it. Just go from one last time from the final presto, maybe. Great. In that last page, there's so much harmonic progression going on and so many different chords and harmonies that it's really fast how you're doing it. I wouldn't do it any faster. And if anything, it needs a bit more time that we can register every single harmony. So don't rush. There's a couple of places where you're actually rushing yourself and making it more difficult. So, just take every single bar as it comes and try to make everything as clear. Don't swallow it through. Don't race through it. Kind of present and project all those chromatic harmonies. There's a lot of information in there that we need to hear. You always have to remember that many people in the audience won't know this piece. You have to show them every single thing that's going on. So don't race through it. Enjoy every harmony and show us every harmony. Yeah. And then that very last phrase, needs to be, again, a bit like we said at the beginning, totally almost flat. You know, not too many nuances. I mean, if that's just totally flat, like a glass lake, it's almost more devastating. I mean, there's some terrible truth is being told at the end, like that, you know, there was the body lying at the bottom of the river. You know, there's some terrible desolation about that last phrase, I think. It's a very tragic end. And in a way, the simpler you play it, the more effective it'll be, maybe.
And do you have any tips for the agitato section, like reducing like tension and stuff? Like
you say that again?
To kind of toss it off.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
For the agitato section, do you have any tips for like reducing tension to kind of play it more loosely?
Well, that's the big challenge. We have to be as loose as we can. We need a certain amount of tension in our body, but it has to be the right sort of tension and the right. I mean, to me, sitting here, you don't seem to be terribly tight. There's a little bit of tightness, but you know, it's. Do you feel? Where do you feel tightness?
Well, I mean, sometimes when I'm like playing the longer, like when the repeated chords and it's the longer, it's kind of half phrases of them. When it's the longer line of them, I feel myself kind of getting a bit tense towards the last few repeated chords.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a bit like body exercises. You know, the more you do them, the more the muscles get the message. This is what we do, and you know, they will develop that strength. The more we do it, and the more slow practice you do, and I think they will get the message. This is what we do, and when it comes to it, you don't have to actually tense up too much to make it happen. You know, the fingers will develop the whole mechanism of you know, from back to shoulder to elbow down to fingers will develop its own strength with regular practice, you know, and everything should become easier, you know, and you shouldn't add any further tension to it. I think we always have to try to allow it to happen without trying to force it to happen. Yeah. That's how I try to reduce tension when I feel that I'm overdoing things. You know, the body can actually do a lot without us having to over push it to do it. And you know, for me, the solution to whenever I feel that I'm getting sore from doing something too much, or that it's over tense or over stressed, you know, to me the solution to that is nearly always taking a step back, breaking it down and doing slow practice, and then regular practice. Well, then the fingers get the idea and it becomes easier, and then they don't stress out, they don't get tense.
Yeah. And also,
I think we have to leave it there, Stan.
Okay.
Sorry, did you have another question?
Just a quick one, like in terms of the tempo for the andantino sections.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the tempo that I was doing? Do you think that's a good tempo? Yeah.
I think so. Absolutely. I think it's good. It's excellent tempo, andantino, and it's flowing. Like, and
no
as I said,
it's no faster.
I wouldn't do it slower, certainly.
Yeah.
But no, it sounds great. It's a really convincing performance, Stan. I'm really impressed. So yeah, keep it going and enjoy performing it. Hopefully you'll be able to perform it soon. In some kind of context. I know it's difficult these days. But thank you so much for playing for us this morning. And now I think we will move on to David. Hello, David.
Hi, Finghin. How's things?
Hi. So you're going to play Liszt for us, the wonderful Rhapsody Espagnol.
That's it, yeah.
Great. Okay, well, you enjoy, and we'll enjoy. Well done. Great stuff. It's a very difficult piece, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah. That's fantastic. You do a really good job. I can feel all the hours and hours and hours you've spent on it. It's not at all easy. So well done. Is it a labor of many months, years, weeks? Has it
Um,
been a lockdown
kind
project?
kind of since January really, but yeah, lockdown is like I've had more time to practice and stuff, and I
Yeah,
was using it for college exams as well. So yeah,
cool.
yeah,
It seemed to me that the I was really really enjoying it and really impressed as it went along. And the introduction and all the first section, the fully whatever it's called, fully d'Espagne, um, and that was all very very good. Then when it got as far as the Jota Aragonesa, from there on, I just felt it was a bit weaker. Generally, it just got a bit well less interesting, I suppose, is the way to put it. I found myself getting a little bit disengaged. Maybe it just I think it needs more thought and maybe more interest, more color. Like it's nearly all D major at the beginning there when you have in the Hota, isn't it? It's all just like it's
yeah,
quite harmonically uninteresting in that way, and it needs to be full of sparkle and full of color and full of life. And it just to me from there, all that section it got a bit pale and just a little bit like this bar and then this bar and then this little exercise and that little exercise and trills coming down and thirds going up and I don't know. I just found myself enjoying it less somehow.
okay, yeah,
Um, I don't know if that makes sense to you. Maybe you spend more time on the whole section before that, and then after that section when it gets all dramatic and technical again, it got more interesting. It warmed up again. Probably needs a bit more work. All those last 4 or 5 pages, they need to be ideally probably a bit faster with those octave jumps particularly. But it's all a question of training the hands and slow practice and working it up. I don't know how much you do. I'm sure you do a lot of slow practice with metronome.
yeah, yeah.
You do, and then do you work it up slowly up? From one speed to the next speed, and then up and up and up gradually.
Yeah, generally it would, yeah, yeah. Like it depends on the section. Like
Yeah,
that middle section there in the D major is quite tricky. Just I think even with the fingering and stuff of it as well. Um, I'm finding it kind of tricky. So
okay. So yeah, and maybe that's why then musically and interpretatively you're sort of disengaged a bit from it. I don't know. It just seems you just need to, even if you're finding it really hard, you need to give us the impression that you're really enjoying yourself and that it's fun because you know how Liszt was, what a showman he was, how he redefined what it meant to be a pianist in the 19th century and how over the top he was. And I'm sure he even every time he played this piece, he probably you know or ornamented it and embellished it and added extra colors and notes and octaves and whatever. I mean, I listened last night to Stephen Huff playing it on YouTube, and I don't know whether you've heard that recording, but again,
yeah,
he adds his own, yeah, he adds his own stuff, and that's cool. And so we need to keep that, even if we're not adding, extra notes or whatever, if we don't want to, we have to keep that impulse of showing off and life and and sparkling and what do we know about what do we know about a jota? What is a jota?
a dance, yeah, a
Yeah,
dancer. Yeah,
I think it's I think it's a Spanish dance. I think it's associated with courtship and sort of with a courting couple who would dance together. So it's got that romantic
okay,
connotation. So it just needs to be a bit more maybe charming and it just needs more interest basically.
yeah,
Maybe we can for now, since our time is fairly limited, it's quite a long piece. I would suggest we might start there at the hotel and maybe work from there
sure, yeah,
towards the latter part
yeah,
of the piece.
yeah. Will I begin from there? So the D major section.
Yeah, straight from there.
Yep.
Okay, so let's just okay. I have here in my score, which I downloaded, pianissimo, non legato,
I don't do
and then
non-legato.
4 bars later, un poco marcato. But basically, looking at the score I have, and I'm not suggesting it's the best edition in the world because I just downloaded it last night. It looks to me like everything is pianissimo. Is
Yeah.
that what you have?
Yeah, I do have pianissimo written, and I don't have the non-legato, but yeah.
Okay. So it needs to be pianissimo. It needs to be really sort of whispered and sort of like, two birds up in a tree and whispering to each other.
Okay.
Go for, choose a very special color and then hear it in your head and then go for it. Something very, very particular. It just sounds a little bit random at the moment. It doesn't sound like you've chosen a particular color for this section.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, so those four phrases you've just played, you've just played the last 16 bars you just played, four phrases of 4 bars each. And there's a down the octave, up the octave, down the octave, up the octave. Yeah?
Yeah.
With me?
Yeah.
Now, those four phrases need to sound, they can't all sound the same. I know it's difficult with those thirds. Is it quite difficult?
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
later on it gets harder. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not too bad. So you're able to manage it. You've mastered the technical stuff as best you can. It will get better, but for now you can play it well. So I want you to, for each of those four phrases, I want you to vary the sound world. We have this drone in the left hand that sort of is very regular, bum bum dum 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 dum. But the right hand needs to have more shape, and then an answering, again like two birds in a tree, one bird chirping from one end of the tree, and the other bird answers from 10 feet higher, and the other bird, it's a conversation. And at the moment, the four phases sound to me, over Zoom at least, from this distance, too much the same. So just try those four phrases and just try experiment with colors and shape it, and really listen to the overall shape and the sound and the contrast between the phrases.
Sure. Yeah. So
Okay,
if I make
it's already
the
much better.
bottom one like louder and then the top one maybe a little bit softer.
Yeah, I mean exactly. That's a good starting point, but they just need to be different. You need to experiment. You need to enjoy. It must. It just at the moment it sounds a little bit like an exercise, and we don't want that. We don't want it to sound like an exercise. It has to sound like two people in conversation with the shapes that conversation brings, and it doesn't necessarily have to be loud, soft, but answering, asking a question and responding, or debating something, just like we're now having a conversation back and forth. It's sort of the natural intonations of speech that you can reproduce in music. Oh, no, I think no, I think just a kind of a discussion back and forth between characters. Just that's the way we bring music to life, I think, is just by imagining conversations like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of color and sparkle and contrast needs to be brought to this whole section, really. And I think if you imagine a couple, dancing and swinging each other and chatting and whispering sweet nothings to each other and asking questions, when might we get married, sweet love? Oh, I don't know, darling, I'm not ready. Just any sort of stupid romantic conversation that will bring it to life. Because at the moment it's just a little bit the notes on the page and it's a tiny bit labored.
Okay.
So try to make it as light as you can, as pianissimo as you can, as charming as you can, and as interesting basically as you can. So just think about that now. Play on a little bit and just think about that as you play.
Okay. From the same place.
Yeah, okay. So that section that's lovely. It's already better. It has more color. I still think you can make it more personal. I think you can take more time here. You can take more rubato, da 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 yum dum dum yum da da, and the second time yum ba 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 bum da dum. Just make your own of it. Pull it around a bit. This is the height of Romanticism. This is the 19th century, where people were starting to take great liberty with performance and interpretation. So don't be too well behaved here. Allow yourself to pull it around.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just try that congrazia. Do you have congrazia written there?
I do. Yeah. Yeah. I'll go
Yeah. So give it that grace and give it that freedom. Those two phrases there. Those two little phrases that start with the sixth in triplets. The last bar where you have the full thirds dot 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 both times. They need to be a little bit more worked on, maybe, and they need to finish off yada dot 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 phrase away and not stick. They stick out a little bit. So if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go from the.
Not too bad. Just play that last bar on the right hand.
Sorry.
Just play the last bar of that phrase, the thirds, right hand alone. Okay? Yeah. That's much better. So, yeah, just fit that in now to the end of the phrase, and I think it'll be better. Okay. It's quite a bit slow. To me, it seems slower than the triplet bars. Diddle 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 yada da da da. If you can, yada da da da. It's a bit ba 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 ba. It's a little bit too slow. That last bar.
Sorry.
Yeah. Good.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
I feel like you want to ask me a question or something, do you?
Oh no, I'm just saying that it's hard with the fingerings and stuff there as well, because it's crossing over and back. But
Do you mean those bars, those single bars with the thirds?
no, with the sixth before it.
Oh, the sixth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say the sixth sound to me, they sound great at this distance.
Okay.
Is there any complication with fingering, or is it just one obvious fingering?
Yeah, I just think it's my fingering. I can have a look at it myself, anyways. I'd say I just need to have a look more in terms of fingering here in this section. Yeah.
What fingering are you doing in the first one?
So I'm going like 2 5 2 and then 1 5 1 2 5 2 1 5 1.
Yeah.
You know.
And what are you doing just after that?
1 4 1 and then 2 5 2.
Before the 1 4 1?
Oh, I'm doing. Let me see. So 1 1 5 1 and then 1 4 1.
1 5 1, and then jumping.
Yeah.
You're doing 1 5 1 and 4 1.
Yeah. It's a jump, yeah.
Well, what about doing 152, 141?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing thumb thumb, if you're doing thumb thumb there, it'll really slow you down.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do a thumb thumb and very quickly.
I'll just write that in, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the second one, is there a similar place where you might need to change something?
Let me see.
What are you doing there? What are you doing there?
So I'm going 151 and then 251. Or sorry, 252.
252. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
back to
Yeah.
151.
Yeah.
Yeah. So will I go again from this?
Yeah. Go again from there, and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So just getting back to the sixths and then the thirds, definitely the bar with the thirds, the fourth bar is slower. So you need to try and get that up to tempo. Diddle 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 yep up 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 up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then moving on from that, again we have 4 phrases, and it's just needs a bit more contrast, a bit more like all that same. It needs character, more character built in, colors and shapes. Then, have you got forte on this?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. For what, 8 bars? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 bars.
Yeah, it's marked twice on the 2 of these.
Yeah. Yes. And then, do you have pianissimo then in the 9th bar?
Yeah. Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm not hearing that difference at all.
Okay.
Now the question is, for the forte, is the forte just for that note and then it goes piano again, or like is it just or is the whole thing forte? Have you given that any thought?
I'd say probably the whole thing forte, and then that'll give more of a contrast with the pianissimo afterwards. Because if it's just piano the whole way through, the rest of it, then yeah.
So massive contrast then between forte and pianissimo. Huge, huge, huge contrast.
Okay. Will I pick it up from there?
Yep.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, the very first pianissimo chord needs to be much, much softer, so we get it immediately straight into it. We can't have any delay.
Mm-hmm.
You with me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Will I go again from the same place, or?
Yeah, I'm just wondering about these descending. Is that causing any trouble?
Yeah, it's kind of it is all right. I'm kind of going 1 5 1. Sorry, 5 5 and 1, and then 3.
Yeah.
And then 4.
And then, what about the D and F sharp?
That's still 5 1 and 3.
What about doing 4 2, and then 4 2 again?
Okay. So 4 2 on the DNF, is it?
It's a possibility. It's
Okay.
really up to you to try it and see. Yeah.
And keeping the tums on the bottom notes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll write that in.
I mean, we all have different hands. I'm not sure. I haven't played the piece, so I don't know. But five might actually be better on the D. It's just to compare and contrast. If you do four on the if you do four on the D one, then you might like to do five again on the C sharp one. 4 5 4 5 4 5 4.
Oh, okay, and then yeah. Yeah, I'll work on
But
that
really,
section.
you know, go through all the options for yourself and find out which one really suits me best. Which one do I feel more comfortable doing? Which one is going to work best quick? And then work it up. Start it slow and work it up. Take out all these little cells. You know, when you're practicing, you take out this cell of 3 bars and just work on that only. And then the next cell, don't work in big sections, work in small sections. Okay?
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of time left, I'm afraid. It's such a big piece. But just carry on a tiny bit there in the Jocoso, and we'll see what other things we can say. Okay, so yeah, that's good. Just maybe don't take such long breaks between each phrase. There's a little tea break going on between every phrase. You can't allow yourself those gaps, really. I don't think.
Yeah.
And think a bit more Jocoso. Yeah, and really playful.
Yeah.
Good. It's getting better.
Is that okay? Or... Yep.
Yeah, I mean it can still be a bit more free. I would
go...
say in the I would make those quite a bit more free, and then maybe more straight. So yeah, so people give people a bit of a giggle. This has to make them giggle.
Okay.
Okay, so that's you probably realize it needs to be a bit lighter. It's all a bit loud. Certainly, from here it sounds like you're not doing the progressively softer pianissimo. As it goes up, it should get softer, softer, lighter, lighter. It's just a little bit. It's a bit heavy. It's a bit not clumsy, but I don't want to be too negative. You know, it just needs to be a bit more delicate and lighter, and yeah, it just sounds like it's causing you too much. Just that last page work. It just needs a bit more work to make it easier and lighter, and then filigree and floating away into the distance like nymphs going up into the woodland or something. You know, so keep imagery in your head. You know, don't just think this is my piece and I must play it. Think imagery and think how to bring it to life. I wish we could do more, David, but I think it was good just to focus on that particular section because it stuck out to me as maybe needing more attention than the sort of the big wham bang wallop octave stuff, which is coming along really well. Which the beginning, as I said, I thought sounded really, really convincing. So I hope that's helpful. I'd like to have done more with it, but maybe another time.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thanks very much, Finghin.
You happy enough with that?
Thanks, Mel. Yeah.
So now we'll have a 5-minute break, I think, and we will come back in 5 minutes. with Joe O'Grady playing some more Chopin. So thank you, David. And now we'll have our break. So we're back to our masterclass here at the National Concert Hall online master course, and we have Joe O'Grady lined up to play Chopin's first ballade. Good afternoon, Joe.
Hi, Finny.
Hi. So off you go, and let's enjoy some Chopin. Okay, well done, Joe. That's great. It's a very demanding piece, and you're making a very good, really good fist of it. And yeah, it's very convincing in many ways. I think it can be more convincing as an overall interpretation, as a story that you're telling, because a ballad is, after all, a story, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I must feel that right from the beginning to the end that you're telling one story, and that the story connects. Each section connects to the section that came before and leads on to the next section. It's sometimes it feels a bit disjointed still, and sometimes you go into sort of technique mode where you just sort of switch off interpretation and start playing notes. So it needs to always be integral to the whatever you're playing must be integral to the overall story, and must fit in to what you're telling. So you can't switch off the storytelling side to be a piano player. You have to be a piano player who's using the piano to tell a story, and the story must be valid from start to finish, right through the piece. And that goes for every single piece you ever play in your life. So that's just a sort of a grand truism for making music. Make sense?
Yeah.
And technically, it's very good indeed. I think we can. There's a lot of rhythmical things we can talk about. There's a lot of things we can touch on in our short time. There's places where accents. You know, if you have an accent, and it's within a gentle piano section, and you have an accent in a loud virtuosic section, those two accents are very, very different things. And sometimes you play an accent in a soft section, and it sounds like an accent from a loud section. So an accent can be a lean, it can be a stress, it can be a poke, it can be many, many different things. So don't interpret an accent as always just being something forceful. It can be something very expressive. For example, when you have it on the second page, those accents should be very expressive accents. A really important rhythm that's going through the entire piece is this bum 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 bum. And it must be regular. It becomes the heartbeat of the piece. It transforms itself into this, and you'll notice it later on. Obviously, when this comes back, bum 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 yum bum. So it always is sort of heavy light. And you must be aware of that and bring it to life, and it must be there as a sort of a leitmotif going through the whole piece. And later on, again, it's there menacing before the coda. It comes back again. It's like a haunting motif that's there all the time. Now, in the section just before what I just played, so the conforza, all this after the quintuplets. And then this section must stay strong, it must stay loud, it must stay very, very full-bodied. important here, Joe. You tend to make the right hand material too clipped and short. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You play a little bit. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
The difference?
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you're counting there with your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start again at the beginning. Really listen to that B flat, Joe, as it's the B flat that hangs over in the right hand. Make sure you give it enough depth that it will last through. And then, do you have an accent on the C thumb? In the first bar of the moderato. Yeah.
Yeah.
So da 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 ti da 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 da. What finger are you doing, Joe, there?
What fingering?
Yeah.
5-5-4 on the B flat and B flat, A and G.
1, 2, 3, 5, 4, and then
I 5-5-4.
5, 5, 4.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not keen on that particularly. I don't think you can really join it. Can you do 5, 4, 3?
Okay.
Are you able to stretch down for the 1, 2? Again, every time you play that, it needs to have that same shape with the very expressive accent on the first note. Ta da 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 da. Yes. And join. Joe. This. You have to. I just feel you're not quite aware enough of legato in this line in the right hand. As much as possible, you have to join everything. So, can you do 4, 5? Joe, is this marked forte here, or what do you have here?
I've mezzo forte on the first high G and then forte on the second high G.
Okay. It's just a little bit much, I think, for. I feel that this piece has a long way to go. I wouldn't be giving away, too much too early. So I think I would keep it a gentle forte.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel that you change character too much. If you if you compare this and then this phrase, those phrases need to link up. You go all of a sudden faster and louder in the second phrase.
Okay.
I don't feel there's an organic link between the phrases as they develop. Each phrase has to come from the previous phrase. It's a development. He's developing his thoughts. He's developing his motif, and your interpretation so far is a bit too. It changes character too quickly, and it becomes too quickly. Like this first page is all under the surface. It's the beginning of something, and you're giving it all away too quickly. So just keep this sort of under the surface feel to the interpretation. Okay, that's all very good. That's all very good. Two things. I still think the accents sometimes are too much like a machine gun. It should be more expressive. You know what's happening here with this big G minor explosion. It sounds. It doesn't quite. It's not quite organic enough. You know, the piano and then the agitato forte and then the sempre più mosso. It's just a bit. It gets a bit too vertical. You're too eager to get vertical too quickly. It just needs to stay horizontal and expressive. Do you understand the difference between playing vertically and playing horizontally?
Yeah.
In the feeling, in the interpretation, in the attack, in the sound. So just don't be too quick to get aggressive with your accents. And then the second thing is where we just arrived now. You've just charged through one of the most beautiful moments of the piece, this left-hand melody, where there's all of a sudden the sun comes out of the clouds. That line was like a horn section of the orchestra, bringing the sunrise to us. A wonderful moment where we are modulating, where we're changing, where he's just heralding in the arrival of this new second theme. So really, really show that much more. Take a bit more time to go around that corner.
Okay.
Very nice. I think this melody needs to stay calm for a bit longer. So it gets it gets a little bit jerky, a bit too early on. It's a bit like that. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Instead of being very smooth. You have to sing the quaver. Da da dee, da da. Not, it's a bit too casual somehow. So sing every single note. Nice. Okay, that's an example, Joe. That's an
Yep.
example of where the accents are just a little bit too much. They can be gentler accents.
Okay.
The D flat, the C flat, and the B flat. Within the piano. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Joe, I just don't feel convinced by the accents. I feel that you're doing the accents because they're written there. I don't feel that you feel them, that you understand them, that you are presenting them in context. And I'm speaking about not only the accents, which is a beautiful internal line, but also the accents here. They're just not. You haven't inhabited them. You don't feel them. You don't. They're just a little bit. Oh, he wrote an accent, so I'll do an accent, and then he'll be happy. But that's not how you play. So just make them into something more convincing, like a bell or something, an expressive lean, or just think about them more. Joe, very good, very good. There's just a slight rhythmical disconnect going on. It's not all exactly played in the same pulse. So when you get to the big theme, the big fortissimo theme, it just goes a little bit, tiny bit faster, And it's two sort of dum da dum ya da dum instead of bum bum ba ya da da yum bum bum. Every single note of the melody. It's two phrased off da da dum dee da dum, and it sounds a little bit too yum ba ba bee ba ba bum. It's just a bit too I don't know what's the best word to describe it. It's just like almost it's not deep enough somehow. It needs to be deeper. So I want you to pay attention to the speed and the pulse of the music as you're building up here. So it needs to be the same tempo, exactly the same tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And to me, it seems like you change pulse on the theme. So just pay attention to the pulse and the rhythm and play it in a very more organic way. Hello. Yeah, it's better. It's better. I still feel that when you come back here, that those bars are a bit faster than the 4 bars that came before. Just take out the metronome when you're practicing and just check for pulse. Otherwise, the audience gets a bit confused. So it must have a more regular pulse. Also, just how you phrase this big theme. That's one phrase, and then is one phrase. You play it a bit. It's broken up into too many phrases. You play. Dee da dum, da da dum. But no, it should be da da dee da da dee. Longer lines. Just go back from there. Hello. Yeah, good. Okay, very good. The scherzando is very good. I think this section, that section needs more work, and it needs to stay lighter. Then I feel that you need to be a bit more aware of where the piece is going harmonically. You need to show us more of these landmark arrival points. So, for example, when we arrive on this, just take a little microsecond just to sort of place that chord and be aware of it. I feel you charge through it as sort of, like a horse going over a hurdle. You've done that hurdle and you go on. But this is not horse jumping, this is music, this is interpretation. So we need to feel that chord, we need to feel its importance. And then 4 bars later, he's gone harmonic shifting onto. So we go from this, and then he goes. That is a harmonic progression during those 4 bars. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And I just don't feel that you're aware of that harmonic progression, that you're so busy playing the notes and going through it and going over and going around and playing it all, that you're not stopping to actually see what you're doing and show us what you're doing. So just be more aware of harmonic progressions, of harmonies, of where we're at, basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to go from here. Yes, just one thing there. Fortissimo, it should that scale down. Fortissimo should remain fortissimo. All the way down. Keep it fortissimo. Struggle all the way down, and then you stay within your fortissimo. Okay. These. Okay, so you're playing them very well, technically, but each one sounds exactly the same, like it's come off a factory conveyor belt, and it's not expressive. Each one different, expressive. The reason Chopin has written these quintuplets is not to make your life difficult as a pianist, but because he wants to express something, and they must sound expressive. Pull them around a little bit more. You don't play exactly ba 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 each time. Ba 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 ba. Ya da 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 da. So strong. Do you have a diminuendo there?
No.
It's better, but I still feel that each note needs to have a word attached. It's just gobbled. Okay. Good. I like I said earlier, this I feel should stay stronger. Incredibly expressive, the most expressive, strong music you can ever play in your life. And that goes for the 2 high B flats. The 2 high B flats are part of this piece, they're not just some added on extra, but they link up. but not. It's not. It's part of it. And stay strong. This whole section needs to stay strong, unlike the other times where we have this. The previous time where we had this. So go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, good. We have to leave it there for today. But just bear in mind that this coda, while it sounds impressive technically, it's got to fit in to the piece. It's got to be expressive. It's got to link to what came before. It's got to be the culmination of all the things you've been saying. I want you to think about a story for the piece as to what's actually happening, what you're expressing, and how this links into it. Because at the moment it sounds like a different piece. Those A flat chords must be incredibly expressive. The whole thing must be so expressive. It's not expressive enough at the moment. But it's impressive, but it's not expressive. Okay?
Yeah.
And on that note, I will thank you for bringing us this lovely Chopin. And now I think, if I've understood correctly, we're going to move on to the questions and answers section of this masterclass. And I would ask Stan and David, if they are still with us, which I think they are, to switch on their cameras and microphones, and we can move away from the piano and see what questions we might have. So we start with you, Stan, since you were the first on this morning. Do you have any questions
I just
for me?
wanted to ask you, Finghin, like throughout the kind of beginnings of your career, what was the biggest change in how you practiced, or the change in your change of mindset that like made the biggest impact to your playing?
It's an interesting question, Stan. Thank you. Gosh, well, I've always, like, from the beginning, I was always taught that practicing slowly and taking things apart and reducing music down to small sections and practicing slowly and building up, that's the way to go. And in all my years, I've never come across any better way, really. It's just every time I come back to it and I do a hand separate practice, very, very basic, take a section apart, practice it hand separately, reduce it down to small sections, and if it's very difficult, you practice slowly and then you build up, like we were saying earlier, with the metronome up faster. That has not been, that method of practicing and improving and preparing has not been outdone, to my knowledge. And still, I'm sometimes even amazed as to how effective it still is. So that's been a constant. And sometimes if I forget about it, I remind myself to go back to that. That's really, really important. The other thing that I came to realize as I got older, and I was going to different teachers, is that really, teachers and master classes and teachers and sessions and study, is brilliant, and it's really, really important to get advice from all kinds of people, and they all tell you different things, and sometimes you realize they're actually all saying the same kind of things to you. And at the end of the day, it's ourselves, so we have to fix ourselves. We have to take on board what people say. Nobody can do it for us, and so really, it's down to us to want to take in what we like from various teachers, but we have to want something. We have to have a vision for what we want to say. The music has to inspire us to say it in our particular way, and we have to find our own way of doing everything, taking on board advice, discarding other advice. But really, in the end, you won't have a teacher, when you're finished all this, and you'll be doing it yourself. So it's down to you. It's our own resources, and how we respond to the music, and having a response to the music and having a personal statement. Like, I want to say this about this piece. This is my interpretation, because otherwise, in 20 years we could be all replaced by robots and artificial intelligence. It has to be personal. So that coda of the ballade that Joe's just been playing, that has to sound so human and so expressive that it could only be a human being, and that way we'll survive.
Yeah.
So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah,
Stan?
brilliant. Thanks, and thanks for the masterclass as well.
Pleasure. David, did you have a question?
Yeah, thanks very much, Finghin. I'd like to ask how do you go about preparing for a concert performance in the months and weeks in advance, and then also on the day of the performance itself as well? Is there any routine you have or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, a few things come to mind. First of all, if I'm preparing a concert program, the program itself is really important, what you decide to play. And I would advise never to play a whole program of new works. I would have a mixture of things you know really, really well, particularly, if this is a big concert, you want to start off the concert with something you know really well. You don't want to start off with a brand new Bach Prelude and Fugue that you've never played before. It needs to be stuff you really feel comfortable with. And then if you have a new piece, you put it on then afterwards when you're warmed up and you're a bit more relaxed. If it's a very important concert, on the night before the concert or 2 days before, or a week before, or whenever, or a few times, play the program through, just for a couple of friends, 2 or 3 people, whatever, anywhere. Just bring people in and say, I want to play it through, the whole program exactly as it will be in the concert, because that gives you huge psychological comfort that when it comes to the big concert itself, you can say to yourself, I know that I did this last night, nobody died, okay, I played a few wrong notes, it went really well. I can do this again tonight, and I can maybe even do it better. So that's a trick that, if I have a really big concert, I do that. Then obviously the preparation is just a matter of, practicing each piece and giving it what it needs and building them up. And as I say, if it's a mixture of old and new, well, then you'll have to do, divide out your time among the different pieces. And on the day of the concert, well, I guess it depends so much on the day, because sometimes you're touring around and you don't get there till 5 o'clock. Other days you're there in the morning. But, it's good to do a good session on the piano, obviously, and then not overdo stuff, like not go to the cinema in the afternoon, but, stay focused and chilled, have a rest, get a bite to eat, do all the regular. I don't have any sort of mad meditations that I do or anything.
Okay.
On the day of a concert, I just try to be sensible. But it is good. It is nice to play through the program on the day of a concert on the piano, because again, you say to yourself, if your committing in your head starts to say, "Oh, you sure you can play this now?" You can answer the committing in your head by saying, "Yes, you shut up, you," because we all have voices in our head saying, "Can you do this? Are you sure you can do this? And what about this?" And if you've played the whole program through that day on the piano in the piano in the hall, then if you can do it once, you can do it twice.
Yeah.
So
it's great. Thanks again as well for the masterclass too.
Not at all. No, thank you. Joe, did you have any question in mind?
Yeah. Thanks for the masterclass, by the way. I was wondering, when you were younger in school, how do you balance between classwork and then practicing, like homework and studying and that stuff?
Yeah, it was very busy because I was also doing violin, as you are, and school was very busy, as it is for you. And yeah, just late nights and a lot of work. I mean, the school we go to, I know you're in the same school that I went to, so they're very supportive if you have to, miss stuff for concerts or travel or whatever. But I did find that as I got older into the senior cycle, that I kind of took the pedal off the music, like for my 6th year when I was doing Leaving Cert. I kind of gave to school. I said, this is the 1 year where I need to give to school and to my studies, and didn't do any, big competitions or had not many concerts. So that then I'd give it to that and get a good leaving cert and then move on. And then after that, then you can go full time into music. But I would, I would, everything that you do in school, not everything, but a lot of the stuff you're doing in school is feeding into your music, into your interpretations. The literature that you learn, the languages you're learning, the science you're learning, to different extents, is all going to feed into your life and into your music. So, don't think of it as too much of it, of going against your musical formation, but actually in many ways feeding into it. And the challenge is that take on, don't take on 5 or 6 new pieces when you have a really busy year in school. Take on 3 pieces that you think you can really master and focus on them and do them really well. So it's a matter of taking on challenges that we can master. Maybe taking a break from the violin maybe would be something you could do like for a year if it's really, really busy. Prioritizing, I guess, so that you have some quality of life. Does that help?
Yeah, thanks very much.
And of course, I wasn't very good at doing outdoor activities and fitness and stuff, but that's important too, getting fresh air and getting out on your bike and all that kind of stuff. So it's balancing throughout our lives is important. Okay, well listen, Joe, David and Stan, thank you very much for taking part in our piano masterclass today. It's been great. It's been not ideal over Zoom, but I still feel that we got a lot of ideas across, and you all played really, really well, these 3 very demanding pieces. So keep up the work. I hope to see you all in person. And thank you for taking part. Thank you to the National Concert Hall as well for facilitating this class online. And we have a viola class starting at 2 o'clock Irish time. That's in just over half an hour with Kim Kashkashian. So I will be presenting that. So I'm off now to have a very quick lunch, and I will see people back online for that. But for now, it's goodbye.